¿Qué pasa to the pack? It is Pack here. In today's video, I'm talking about the roster update we're getting tomorrow. This is the 8th roster update of NBA 2K23. There's a little issue. It was supposed to come out last week. It never did. And I feel like this is a pretty big one because this would be 3 weeks since we've gotten a roster update. And also, it would be the first big one since all the trade deadline stuff happened. So I'm going to cover all the major changes I expect in this roster update tomorrow. If you like that kind of content when it comes to player ratings, changes, and all that kind of stuff, please join the pack and subscribe. And let's get it, man. We start off with the Philadelphia 76ers, as I always do. Tyrese Maxey +2. He has been on fire. Look, the 76ers look really, really good in a West and an East where so many teams are changing, so many teams have problems. Like, for example, the Grizzlies now have no John Morant for the rest of the year. Like, there's some serious issues going on with every single NBA team. The 76ers have been getting better, and Tyrese Maxey going +2 would be a very big thing. Also, James Harden, I'm saying +3. He has been extremely underrated for the entire season. He is the best playmaker in basketball right now, while also being one of the better scorers in the league. James Harden is still really good. I think there's no reason for me to not have him as a 93 overall, especially if he's the best playmaker / scorer in the league. For the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm going to downgrade Chris Middleton. I have held off on this for weeks and weeks and weeks, but you know what? At some point, you got to put your foot down. I know Chris Middleton has been battling injuries and they've been having him on minutes restriction. I understand, but at some point, you got to downgrade the man. He's just not performing well this year. I know he's not playing a lot of minutes either, but it's still, I mean, the field goal percentage has not been great. The points haven't been great. He's still doing okay, and the Bucks are still doing well, but I do argue that Chris Middleton at least needs to go -1 or maybe even -2, closer to Brook Lopez. We know that when Chris Middleton's playing well, that'll change, but right now, I'm going to downgrade him. But let's talk about an upgrade for the Bucks, and that is Jevon Carter. So something about Jevon Carter that no one's mentioned is that he's been one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball this year. Like, one of the best, period, okay? Not only that, his scoring has gone up in the last 10 games. Jevon Carter has been very important to this team. I have him as a +3 to a 78 overall. This would make him the 6th man of the team, and I do think that that is a true statement. He's been that good all year, especially early in the year when Jrue Holiday was out. I do think Jevon Carter has earned that right. For the Chicago Bulls, this one's been cooking up for a long time. For the past year and a half, I have been preaching that Zach LaVine is better than DeMar DeRozan, and I felt that the rating should be higher than DeMar. But DeMar always had slightly better stats. Well, fine. Finally, in the last 10 games, Zach LaVine has been a way better player statistically, like a way better player. So he's averaging 8 more points per game in the last 10 games. The Bulls still might not make the playoffs, but it hasn't been Zach LaVine's fault. He's the more skilled player. He's the better player. I think Zach LaVine finally needs to go up as an 88 overall, 1 overall over DeMar DeRozan. It's about time. He's been the better player. Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, I have +2 to a 92 overall. Just when we thought Donovan Mitchell's extreme scoring was maybe a little over-exaggerated, he starts doing it again. In the last 10 games, he's been averaging 30 points a game on great efficiency, while the Cavs have been the 4th best team in the East. Look, it is time that Donovan Mitchell gets his accurate rating of a 92 overall. He's been one of the best scorers all season long on one of the better teams in the league. He has earned it. He is that good. I really expect him to get a really big roster update in this next one. For the Clippers, man, Kawhi Leonard, I have been saying it for a while, and I'll say it again. +3 to a 95 overall. When Kawhi is in his prime, he was a 96. I still think he's playing at that level. Offensively, he's been amazing. He's still one of the better defenders in basketball. I don't know why 2K is afraid to give him an accurate rating. It's Kawhi Leonard we're talking about. He has earned this. I'd also argue that Russell Westbrook should go up because his field goal percentage has been amazing. I know that they've been losing, but I don't think that's Russell Westbrook's fault. I think that the team's defense has been suspect, but it's not Kawhi or Westbrook's fault. I am expecting upgrades for both of these players. John Morant's going to be deleted from the game. For the Charlotte Hornets, Gordon Hayward is the best player on the Hornets right now. LaMelo Ball has been injured for the year, but Gordon Hayward has been out here. Gordon Hayward has been the leading scorer while also being the most highest field goal percentage player on the team. He's been very, very good. I think he needs to be above Terry Rozier and Kelly Oubre Jr. I guess you can put him at an 83 overall and then just put Terry Rozier down. He's looking like Utah Gordon Hayward again. I think You know, he's got more like confidence because he's kind of has the green light right now with the Hornets because they're not trying to win or anything. So he's just shooting, and he's actually, you know, he's playing pretty well. It doesn't matter because the Hornets aren't going to win anything, right? But I do think that Gordon Hayward is the best player on the Hornets outside of LaMelo Ball right now. The Utah Jazz, Lauri Markkanen +2. Some people were trying to say that Lauri Markkanen needed to be a 90 overall, and that would be an extreme rating. I'm not going to give him that. But he's been consistent all year. I know the Jazz are losing, but they kind of want to lose if we're just being honest. They you know, there's a reason they made the trades that they did. They knew they weren't going to make the playoffs, or at least they had a really bad chance of doing it. But Lauri Markkanen's not been the reason. He's been consistent all year, been amazing all year. No one thought he was going to be this good. It's okay to make him an 88 overall. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think he's a 90. I think it's a little too high. But an 88, I do think he's absolutely worthy of that. He's earned that, in my opinion. For the Kings, I've already mentioned this, but I'll say it again. I think both Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox are a 90 overall. The Kings are the second best team in the West, gentlemen, okay? Light the beam. It is amazing. No one thought they were going to be this good. De'Aaron Fox has picked it up lately, averaging 32 in the last 10 games. Just insane numbers. And then Domantas Sabonis averaging like, I think it's like 20, 14, and like 7, while also like on like 66% from the field. Look, what Sabonis is doing is amazing. What De'Aaron Fox is doing is amazing. I'm going to tie them as the best player on the team because they're both kind of just playing off of each other. It's a really, really cool what they're doing, and I kind of hope that they succeed because it's exciting to watch. For the Knicks, you could say a lot because they've been winning a lot lately. Like, I think Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle will get a +1, but more than anything, Emmanuel Quickley. He's gotten a bigger role because Brunson's been hurt for the last couple games. In the last 10 games, he's averaged 19 points in only like 27 minutes or something like that. Quickley's been amazing. He's actually one of the better defenders in basketball this season for some reason. I don't know how he pulled it off, but he is, while also being a very good scorer. He's earned the right to be in an 80 overall club, I think, at this point. And it's not surprising because the Knicks have been very good. It's not surprising there's a lot of 80 overall players on this team. Up next, we have Bridges +2. No one knew Bridges was going to be this good when he went to the Brooklyn Nets. He's still one of the best defenders in basketball, while also averaging 26 a game for the Nets so far while he's played for them. It's incredible. No one knew this was going to happen. It's a complete shock, but it is very impressive. Bridges is very, very good. The Nets have a lot of good role players, and they hope that if Bridges continues to play this way, they can have a really good team in the future. Will they make the playoffs? I don't know. But I do know that Bridges is a great player to have on this team. You know, the Nets had a lot of good players, and it wasn't looking good when they were going to lose Kevin Durant, Harden, and Kyrie, but they've made something out of it for a future that could be bright. So we'll have to wait and see. But I have 87 overall for Bridges. I think I've talked about this one a little too much, but I'm just going to repeat it. Jakob Poeltl +3. I think he is tied as the 4th best player on this team. I have a hot take, and I believe he's actually the 2nd best player on the team. But again, that's a hot take. He's only playing 25 minutes a game while being a 15-point per game scorer, 70% from the field. He's averaging, I think, 2 blocks, like 10 rebounds. It's insane numbers. Like, these are insane numbers. He was always this good, but he was on the Spurs and they were losing, so no one could tell. But look, his offense got a lot better in the last year. And then now he's now on the Raptors, a team that needed him, and they're actually trying to win. And like, his game is being amplified that much more. He's a very great player, a great defender. In my opinion, I'm going to put him at an 82, and you could argue he should be up there at 84 for Jakob Poeltl so far. It's a ridiculous take, but it's factually maybe correct. For the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to downgrade Chris Paul. Now, I've talked about Chris Paul a lot this year about how I think he needed downgrades, but he was never getting it. And I think the biggest reason is that he averages 10 assists on only 2 turnovers, which is a big thing. He's really good at playmaking. But, there was a lot of players in history that had really good playmaking seasons and they were bad at everything else, and so they weren't getting high ratings. Jason Kidd in his late years was the same thing. Chris Paul should be an 83 overall maximum, so I'm having him as a -3. The only reason I'm saying that is because other players in history were being 80 overalls doing what he was doing. So I can't have him anything higher than like an 83. That's pushing it. Look, Chris Paul's still great. It's not a bad thing to be an 83 on a great team. He's still an important piece on a championship level roster. It's just that he's way past his prime, and that's okay. Father time is a real thing. It happens. It needs to be effective for Chris Paul because he's way too high of a rating for what he is today. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know much about Jalen Williams. I have not watched a lot of Thunder games this year, but he has been playing really good statistically lately. I have him as +2 and 80 overall, right in front of Dort, right behind Josh Giddey. He would be one of the best players on the Thunder. He's having a good year. I know he's not really rebounding that well for power forward, but scoring-wise, he's averaging 20 a game in the last 10 games. he's deserved it. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, it's absolutely Jaden McDaniels. So first of all, in terms of Defensive Player of the Year, he's probably the leading candidate. I think he defensively is really good. And then offensively, he's averaging 12 points on good efficiency. So the offense isn't amazing, but it's solid. Look, there was a player like Jay Crowder, who was an 80 overall, who was only averaging like 13 points as an all-defensive player. If Jay Crowder can be in that situation, I don't see why Jaden McDaniels, who's not only an all-defensive player, but a first-team all-defensive player, while also being an efficient scorer, can't be in the 80 overall club as well. If Mike Conley's an 80 overall, I think it's okay to put Jaden McDaniels as an 80 overall as well. He's been that good. There's a reason why the Timberwolves are actually doing okay. It's not just because of Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, but Jaden McDaniels' defense has been valid. And finally, Dame. I'm going to say +2 to a 95 overall. Been one of the best scorers in basketball right now. He's averaging 39 points in the last 10 games, which is like literally, like actually video game numbers. So what he's doing is impressive. He has to get an upgrade this roster tomorrow. He has to. I mean, there's no way. Like what he's doing in his prime, he was a 95 overall, so I don't know why he wouldn't be a 95 overall right now. I don't care that they're losing. It's not Dame's fault, not at all. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys think that there's someone that should be upgraded or not? Let me know. And if you're at this channel, please give it a sub. I'll see you guys next time.